Just one thing before we get started. I am going into everybody's folder on the day that your work is due, so that will be Mondays, Wednesdays, and either Thursdays or Fridays, depending on the class. So it takes me a little while, so I'm not getting to go into the folders until like it'll probably be like 10 or 11 o'clock before I get in. But I go in and I have a look through the folders. I just like I would in class, I tick them and I sign them. If I have anything to say about them, I'm using little audio recordings. So just make sure that if you see a little audio recording that you do click on it and listen. I suppose what that means is that you're going to have to go in and check your homework is marked. Okay, so when you put your homework in, don't just leave it. Okay, you're supposed to go back in, you're supposed to mark it when you're watching my video, and then maybe after that, before you start your next class, you might pop back in and have a look in case I've given you any feedback. Okay, right, so we'll get started with today's class. Oh, sorry. So first things first, I suppose, is the homework. Okay, so this is the 13th of January. I asked you to do all of this just using your calculator. So it was just typing into your calculator. It was basically an exercise in how well you can use your calculator. So we'll fly through these. This one is 9 over 10. 2 over 3 plus 1 over 2 is 7 over 6. It's an improper fraction, do you remember that? What makes it an improper fraction? Hopefully you're shouting at the screen. Yep, the fact that it's top heavy, the fact that the top number is bigger than the bottom number. Whereas this one over here, that's a proper fraction, because the top line is smaller than the bottom line. Anyway, a little bit of revision there. So a quarter and a third is 7/12. 3 quarters minus a half is a quarter. 7/8 minus 3 quarters is an eighth. 3/5 minus a half is a tenth. Okay, mixed fraction, so I'm using the shift button with the fraction button to put in my 2 and 1 over 2, plus shift button again, 3 and 1 over 4. And that gives me 23 over 4. I just realised I'm after doing uncircled ones. So this one and this one didn't need to do this one or this one. Well. Okay, the last one here in question 10 is 2 minus 1 over 2 plus 3 over 4. Okay, so type all that in and you get 9 over 4. So down to question 4 then, I have a quarter multiplied by half is an eighth. Mixed fraction again, so shift and fraction, put in my 2 and then use my arrows to get in the half. Multiplied by 5 is 25 over 2. The next one then is 2 divided by 2 divided by 2/5 is 5. Okay, this one over here, part D, so shift fraction, 4 and then 4 over 5, divided by 1 and 1 over 7. So that gives 21 over 5. And then the last one here, how many strips of ribbon, each 2.5 centimeters long, can be cut from a roll of ribbon 32.5 centimeters long. So that's a division. You need to take the full length of ribbon, which is 32.5 centimeters, and divide it into 2.5 centimeter pieces. So I'm going to need my mixed fraction button. So 32, 1 over 2, divided by 2 and 1 over 2. So apparently you can cut 13 strips. Okay, so that's the homework. Apologies about the start there. I hope I didn't confuse anybody. I just did extra ones for you. So go into your homework folder where you submitted the work to me and actually go through and check if they're right. Okay, some of you, when I was marking there, it was great. You had actual ticks beside it, and some people had written in, obviously they'd made a mistake, so they'd written in the right answer. So that's exactly what I want. All right. So we will go back in here. Yeah, that's everything up to there. So this is going to be your heading for today, ratio and proportion. So ratio is when you're basically sharing something up between people. So something like taking a pizza and being like, okay, you get half and you get half. So how many slices does the first person get and how many slices does... So say you had a pizza, right? Let's do this now. Right, so there's my pizza. And I have 2 people and I'm going to split the pizza between the 2 of them. And, sorry. So here's one person and then here's the other person. Okay, and I'm going to split the pizza up between this person over here is going to get half and this person over here is going to get half. In order to be able to do that, I need to know how many pieces are in the pizza. Okay, so what we would have to do is count the pieces. So I'm just going to do this. So we'd have to count the pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 8 pieces. So if this person is going to get half, then they're going to get half of 8. So they're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces for this person. And then this person is going to get half as well. So they're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 for this person. So in my little example here, half the pizza is 4 slices. And they're going to get that each. Yeah? So that's a ratio. That is taking something and dividing it up between 2 people. Now, things don't always divide up nicely in half. Okay, so that's where there's a little bit more work to be done. But this is essentially the idea. It's taking a pizza and splitting it up, or a sum of money and splitting it up, or actually we were cooking here the other day and we made dinner, and it being January, we're trying to watch what we eat and make sure we're eating healthy and nutritious food. And I wanted to make sure that I was eating an appropriate portion. So what I've been doing is trying to get my portion of food based on my weight compared to my husband's weight, and then same with the kids, so that my husband, because he is the heaviest of all of us, he gets the biggest portion, and then I'm in the middle, so I get the next biggest portion, and then the kids get smaller portions, because it is split up, or we did a ratio based on our weights. Okay, so that kind of thing. It's actually a really handy thing to be able to do. So yeah, that's the idea. Okay, so splitting things up into different amounts. So let's have a look. Okay, so here's John and Tony, and they're going to divide up 250 people between them in the ratio 1:4. Okay, so they're not getting half and half. Half and half would be easy. They're getting it in the ratio 1:4. How much did each receive? Okay, so when you're given a ratio like that, the number matches the person. Okay, so the fact that John was first, he's getting the 1. And then Tony's name was second, he's getting the 4. Okay, so when you're doing these questions, the first thing you have to work out is how many parts are we dividing the money into. Okay, and then obviously I'm just going to highlight this. It doesn't have to be money. Okay, it could be anything. How many parts are we dividing the pizza into? How many parts are we dividing the dinner into? It doesn't matter, okay? So if John is going to get 1 part and Tony's going to get 4 parts, then in total we have 5 parts or pieces or whatever you want to call it. Is that okay? So we're going to divide it up into 5 parts. The next thing, so that was the first thing. The next thing you need to do is figure out what is 1 part worth. Okay, so 1 part might be worth, I don't know, €40 if it's money. 1 part might be worth 2 slices if it's pizza. Okay, maybe you're dividing up like a box of sweets and 1 part might be worth 3 sweets. Okay, so to figure out what 1 part is worth, the way you do it is you take the total and you divide it by the total parts. Okay, so in this question, the total is the €250. That's what we're trying to divide up. And the total number of parts is 5. So we do 250 divided by 5 and we get €50. So €50 is 1 part. And then the last thing you do is you give each person their parts. Okay, so the first person was John, and John gets 1 part, and 1 part, so I'm going to write that actually. First person is John. My colour coding. So John gets 1 part, which means he gets €50. Tony then gets, so Tony was here and he gets 4 parts. So if €50 was 1 part, he's going to get 4 €50, which means he's going to get €200. And if you look at that, right, just for a second. So John got 50 and Tony got 200. And what do those 2 numbers add up to? The 250 up here that we were trying to divide up. Okay, so that's how you do it. You must find out the total number of parts. You figure out what 1 part is worth, and then you give each person their parts. Okay, so let's see, that I think is slightly different. Yeah, okay, so they've asked that slightly differently. Okay, so let's do this one here just as a... So a plank of wood is 6 meters long and it's cut in the ratio 1:5. Find the length in centimeters of the longer piece. Okay, so step 1. How many parts are we dividing the money into? So in this case, it's not money, it's a piece of wood. Okay, so how many parts? So you take the ratio. We're going to divide it into 1 part and 5 parts, which means in total we have 6 parts. The second bit, what is 1 part worth? So we take the total length, which is 6 meters, we divide it by the parts, 6 parts, and that means 6 divided by 6 is 1. So 1 meter is 1 part. And the last part is where you divide it up into the 2. So we don't have names on this. We have the short piece and we have the long or longer piece. Yeah? So the short piece, oh, colour. What is wrong with my colour coding today? The short piece is 1 part, and we know that 1 part is 1 metre. The longer piece is 5 parts, which means we have to do 5 of the parts, which is 5 metres. Yeah? And the question actually in this one, so the questions are not always identical, which is why I skipped the example up there, and I will go back to it now. But the question here is find the length in centimetres of the longer piece. So the actual answer to this question is this one, because that's the length of the longer piece. Yeah? Right, we'll try this one, okay? So you'll see there's a slight difference here. So Moira, Sean and Donal have shared a prize in a local lotto. Moira invested €5 in the draw, Sean invested €4 and Donal paid €3. They decide to split the winnings in the ratio of their investments. So let's get this right. So M for Moira, put in 5. S for Sean, put in 4. And D for Donal, put in 3. So that's the ratio that we're talking about. Okay, so Moira is going to get 5 parts of the prize, Sean is going to get 4 parts of the prize, and Donal is going to get 3 parts of the prize. Okay, now the next bit here, this is where it's a bit different. It says Sean gets 108. So they're not giving us the total. They're just giving us Sean's bit. Okay? So we know Sean won, or his bit of it is 4 parts. So we can say that 4 parts gave him €108. Does that make sense? Okay, so Sean got 4 parts of the prize, and they're saying here that Sean got €108. That means 4 parts of the prize must equal €108. Okay, the absolute goal with these questions, and the only way you're going to solve them, is if you can figure out what 1 part is worth. Okay, so if 4 parts are worth €108, then how will we figure out what 1 part is worth? Okay, hopefully you're saying it. You just divide by 4. So we take 108 and we divide by 4, and we figure out that 1 part is worth €27. Okay, so then Moira's going to get 5 parts, so she's going to get 5 €27. Sean is going to get 4 €27, and Donal is going to get 3 €27. Okay, so 5 €27. She's getting €135. Sean's, we should know the answer to. Yep, 108. And then Donal is going to get 3 €27. So that's 81. That okay? Okay, so it's slightly different question if they give you the total like they did in this example compared to if they don't give you the total like in this example. Okay, so again, replay them, pause them if you need to, and don't forget to use the collaboration space if you have any questions. I'll put another page up there called ratios. So if you have any questions on this, please let me know and throw it into that part of the collaboration space. Okay, so your homework is going to be the 3 questions that I haven't done. So question 6, question 7, question 8. So these notes will appear on your OneNotes tomorrow, and the homework will be in the homework journal, and then there'll be a page in the collaboration space for questions. Okay, so give those your best shot and let me know if you're having any issues.